you good for them one-liners. He said you do your talking on the turntable.
Look at the camera flash. There he is, y'all. With Terminator X making a fat track. This is why you can't never forget where you came from. Because you know where you're going. Right here in the studio, Flash Terminator making a track.
It's on you, baby.
SB12.
100.
Oh, 100. SB1200. A beat from scratch. For all you wanna-be DJs, this is how you do it.
What we could do is probably like make the drum beat up and then put the loop in and just pitch some shit or something.
As you can see, most definitely, this is Andraus13. And this is Grandmaster Flash. Check it out. We're here with him. And we want to ask him a couple of questions. We're glad to have him here on our show. And first, we'd like to ask you, what kind of message would one of the originators of the hip-hop industry, the billion-dollar industry, what would you say to younger artists coming up? What kind of advice would you give them out there dealing with this business?
Well, to extend on to what you just said, you know, with this being a very large financial industry, I would say to make sure that your paperwork is in order. Not only to make sure whether or not your paperwork is in order, but make sure that you learn about the business, because there's a business behind this business. As far as your publishing, your writer's royalties, find out what points means, because see, there's a whole nother lingo, there's a whole nother language to this business that if you don't quite understand it and you get to understand it after the fact, you might find out that you might not have gotten what was deserved to you. Try to find a qualified attorney to basically be able to not only represent you properly, but also to be able to break down what these words mean. You know, a lot of times with these recording companies, they give you like a 30-page agreement, and the wording, which is in the English language, will look like Egyptian, so to speak. And you need somebody to just basically break it down for you so that you understand what it is. That's what it comes down to.
As far as the business right now, what kind of projects are you looking at? What can we be expecting to hear from you in the near future?
Okay, well, right now I am basically working on a track with the great Terminator X, who's sitting on my couch. I just finished doing a project on Deborah Morgan, which is on Atlantic Records, a group by the name of Chameleons, which is on RCA Records. I'm doing another artist by the name of Willoughby, which is going to probably be on Ichiban Records. I'm contemplating the thought of opening my own label, but I'm not quite sure yet. And also, there's another surprise element that I can't speak on, but there's a record coming out with me and 5 other people. Now, you use your own imagination. And that's basically it. Okay, that's basically it.
Okay, and as far as you, would you tell us, you've been into all of this. I know this is kind of hard, but what were some of the greatest jams that you liked?
Some of the greatest jams, what you mean, when I was spinning, or that?
Yeah, the ones that you were spinning and the ones that you were making. And, you know, how do you feel about the records that are coming out today as far as when you were spinning and you made yours?
All right, some of the greatest records I liked spinning at the time was Apache by the Incredible Bongo Rock Band, 7 Minutes of Funk. Those are like good records. The Bells by Bob James. some of the records that I made that I enjoyed, Freedom. That was like a real happy one for me. The message was good too, but the Freedom was more like, the street thing. And far as answering your question on today's rap records, I would say they have gone to another level. I think what's happening with me is I'm a bit bothered because the subject matters from the beginning of my time through the early 80s, through the late 80s, the subject matters were more diversified. What's happening now, they're becoming more conformed. And personally, without me going into a long, drawn-out situation, I would prefer to keep the record company A&R people confused on what's good and what's bad. Because once they start to figure out, well, this is good and that's bad, then that means that they have the control. We must continue to have the control. We must continue to have the free form of expression, musically as well as lyrically. Because once we lose that, just as in our prior art forms, jazz, rock and roll, we'll lose this one too. That's my point there.
Now you heard that from the originator. Now all you rappers out there who are listening, all you artists out there, be an artist and don't let anyone steer you into one direction. We need all the spectrum of rap that we can get.
Absolutely.
You heard it from Grandmaster Flash. 5,000.